Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'll show you how to create a registration page in React using Formik and Web API. So guys, in this video, I'll discuss these points: how to create API endpoint for user registration, how to call that endpoints in React application, introduction to Formik, YOP and React-toastify, how to set the toast message for success and failure, how to check Web API endpoints using browser inspect element, and last, whatever the code I discuss here, I'll give that link so that you can download that source code from GitHub. So guys, before going through this video, please visit my previous videos. So I'll go through the playlist. You can, if you are new to React, go through the playlist called React tutorial, so you can get these videos in my playlist. Okay, so these are all real-time application of React using Web API. Same way, if you are new to ASP.NET Web API, there is one playlist called ASP.NET Web API tutorial, and these are all real-time, and for if you are beginner, intermediate or experienced, so you can some real-time videos you can get here. How to create API endpoints, how to create ADO.NET entity data model to connect to the database and consume in our different application like React, Angular, ASP.NET, MVC and Core, ASP.NET Core. Okay, so you can get these videos in here. Let's go to my presentation. So guys, these all points I need to discuss, and I'll be showing here for step-by-step process. There is one note I have mentioned here. These are all the steps. Step 1 is need to create a table called user registration. So guys, in SQL Server, I'm creating this table, and these are the fields, and then I'm inserted these records as a dummy records. So as of now, I have 7 records here. So this is all about the step 1. Step 2, we need to create a ADO.NET entity data model to map the table called user registration. So guys, I'll go to the Visual Studio and expand that models folder, and inside I am creating one Satya new db model.edmx. So this is nothing but ADO.NET entity data model. So guys, if you are new to how to create ADO.NET entity data model, you can go through my playlist ASP.NET Web API tutorial. There I already have mentioned the videos how to create ADO.NET entity data model. So basically this model ADO.NET entity data model are in EDMX format. Okay, so when I created the ADO.NET entity data model, it is asking which format you want, code first or DB first approach. So as for requirement, you can select that, and then it is asking which database object you want to map. So you can map to your tables, procedures or any other database objects. So if you expand that after creating, it is showing that user registration.cs, right? So this is nothing but system by default convert my table to the CS file, and inside whatever the field names it is creating by as a properties here. So this is all about ADO.NET entity data model. Okay, step 3, we need to check web.config for connection string. So here web.config file is there. So guys, if you drag to bottom, there is one connection strings tag here, and these are the entities, SatyaDB entities. Okay, and this the connection string is added here, right? So this is the by default added by the system. Okay, and if you drag to right, there is data source. This is nothing but the server name and database name and the relevant properties of connection strings. Okay, so this is added by the system as by default. So I'm using this SatyaDB entities 1 in this application. Okay, it is same to all the entities as well, same format. So this is all about the web.config. Step 4, we need to create API endpoint to bind data and register user data. So there is one API controller I am using, React registration controller CS. So guys, here if you go to Solution Explorer, expand that controller. So I'm creating one React registration controller.cs, right? Because it is inherit from API controller base class. So these are the namespace I'm using, and this using Angular app.model, because inside models folder I'm using the edo.entity data model to access the properties and classes. So this is the route prefix I'm using, and these are two requests. One is get request, one is post request. On get request I'm using that route part to bind the records, to fetch the record from database. So I'm instantiate the SatyaDB entities, nothing but the entities are inside the config. Using this object I can access the user registration, which is nothing but the system by default are used as a properties inside the db set user registration SatyaDB entities dot user registrations. So this is for get the records from database. Same way for HTTP post, this is the route part, insert user registration data, and this is the add user data method. Inside I'm passing this user registration is class and data, so all the fields are inserted. Okay, inside the try block I'm instantiating the same SatyaDB entities 1, and using this object I can access the object of user registration, okay, of accessing by in the db set class file, and using add I'm passing the data, which all the fields are inserted, and the save changes method is assigned to the result. So if result greater than 0, it's showing the message data has been successfully added for this user, else data is failed for that user, so it show the message, and exception block and return message. So this is all about the API endpoints. Okay, let's go to the next step. So step 5, we need to create and install ReactJS npx create -react -app my React app. So this is my React app application name, my -react -app. So I go to the VS Code, click on new terminal, and here we need to execute that command, and then I can see this React application is created. Step 6, we need to install the bootstrap. This is the command npm install space bootstrap space -- save. Same way you need to execute here in the terminal. Step 7 is install react -bootstrap space bootstrap for design table button, and this is the command npm install react -bootstrap space bootstrap. So we need to execute this as well in the terminal. Okay. Step 8, we need to install the Axios library in npm install space -- save Axios. So we need to execute this command in terminal as well. Step 9, we need to install the Formik npm install space Formik. So here we need to execute this command in terminal. Step 10, we need to install the yop that is npm install yop -- save. Same way you need to execute this command in the terminal. Step 11, we need to install React -toastify. This is the command npm install space React -toastify. So this is the command we need to execute here in the terminal. After install all these packages, how to check the what are the package version are installed using this is called React dependency in package.json. So there is package.json. So in package.json we can find the version name. Axios is version bootstrap, okay, Formik, and the React version you can see React bootstrap, and this is the React-toastify version and yop. So whatever installed version we have packages installed, we can check using our package.json. And also you can find out in the node_modules folder as well. For example, we need to check for React-toastify. Okay, so the drag to bottom. So see here React-toastify. So you can see here these packages also find out inside the node_modules folder. Okay, same way we can find out the other parts as well inside the node_modules folder. Step 13, we need to add the component user details.js and user validation schema.js. So go to the src folder. Inside I have created one forms folder, and inside the two JS files, user details.js and user validation schema.js. Step 14, write our logic to perform a validation of the registration page. That is I'll open the user validation schema.js file and write our logic validation of properties of the registration page. So guys, here I'll open that JS file. Okay, I need to import this package as a YOP because YOP is helping us to make the validation in our React application. So these are the fields: first name, last name, email ID, password, confirm password, mobile number, address, pin code, and company name. So using first name, for first name I want for required field only, that is if it is empty, for last name as well. So I'm using this code as well. For email, I'm using invalid email as well as empty field validation. For password, minimum is 66 characters and it is and the empty field validation. Same way for confirm password, it should be matched to the password as well as empty field validation. For mobile number, empty field validation. For address, empty field validation I have implemented. For pin code, minimum and maximum should be 6 digit and the empty field validation for pin code, and this company name is empty field validation. Okay, so this is all about the code for user validation schema.js file. And step 15, we need to open the user details.js file and import the necessary library, then write below code in file. Okay, so this is the overview. In this file, I'm create unnecessary libraries, create a custom function for mobile validation, that is 10-digit mobile number or the invalid mobile number, declare the properties in state, write method for bind user details in the component did mount, declare the properties initial values, design the registration page using Formik, set the error message using toast, write the logic for submitting the data. So I'll open that JS file, user details.js. Okay, so I'll drag to top here. So guys, these are the import statements you need to use. Okay, one is React, Formik, and field form error message from the React-bootstrap, and Axios for configure our API endpoint, toast for set the message, React-toastify CSS we need to import, as well as bootstrap the CSS. Then we need to import also user validation schema.js, and this API URL is nothing but our API URL. So in a local host, this is my application, it is running using this localhost port number, and this is the route prefix API/user registration that I mentioned here, right here. So here I'm creating one method for validate mobile number. So 10-digit, if it is not valid mobile number, it will show the invalid mobile number. And then using user details extend from React component, this state I am declared two properties, user data and user list, and using the component did mount. So this call immediately after a component is mounted, so it will be calling to the bind user data. This is calling the our get request. So inside bind user data method, get request is configured API URL and the slash get user registration details. So that is nothing but my HTTP get request route values. Okay, and then inside the set state, and data is stored in the user list, and if it is error, then it showed the error message as well in the set state. So inside the render, I'm text align as a left. For table header style, background and color I mentioned here, and there is one serial number style, because in our field there is serial number including first name, last name, and other field values. So I want to make some apply styles for the serial number style, so I mentioned here for this particular field values. Okay, and inside the return I'm using the toast container. This toast container I'm using for set the delay to toast automatically and draggable. Okay, and inside the Formik there is a validation schema I'm using as a JS file, right? User validation schema.js, and inside initial values, these are the by default these all fields are in empty format, and on submit there is a reset form, and it will be post request API URL slash, this is my HTTP post request route, insert user registration data, because in my HTTP post request I'm using this route values, right? So it will inserted data to the database, and this console log, if it is inserted successfully, it will show the message toast part success. Okay, and then the latest data is bind to the React page, and it will show their data as well, and then reset all the forms. That means all the fields are reset. If it any exception, it will show the toast error message, network error. And these are the validation part I've implemented here inside the error block. So container form, and the registration page, this is the I am using as h2 tag here, and the respective field values I'm implemented the validation part. For example, there is first name. If user click on that field and out of toss this field and keep out of that cursor from that field, it will show the uh, field name is required, right, for first name. Same way for last name, and it is for email ID, and this is for password, and this one is for confirm password. Okay, and this one is for address field name, and this one is for pin code. Next one is for company name text box. This one is for mobile number field for invalid as well as empty field validation. And for lastly, we have two buttons. One is submit the records as a registration text, and for reset the button, reset the field using reset button. And then after inserted part, it will be displayed in the bind to the table. So that I'm using a bootstrap table here, trtd. These are the table headers. So as I told you, in the serial number I am passing that on a css part, only that part will be highlighted some colors. In the table body, it will be bind the records for respective field values: first name, last name, email ID, mobile number, address, pin code, and company name. And this is the user ID, right? So some serial number it will display 1 2 3 4 like this. So guys, here I put some condition: if user list greater than 0, okay, then the data will be bind. If it is there is no records found, then it will show that no records found, and table and the respective tags are closing as well. And this is the export default user details. Okay, so this is the code for user details.js file. So step 16. Okay, step 16 is we'll open the index.js and index.css. So here I'll go to the index.js. So this is the code for index.js. So we need to import these namespaces and the construct React DOM and document get element by ID. This is the ID of index.html. I'm using db_id, and the render method I'm using this app.js file, right? So this is the code for index.js, and then index.css. So guys, here index.css, this is used for some cascading style part. Step 17, we need to open the app.js, app.css, and index.html. So here app.js. So guys, you need to use this import part, app.css and the user details.js file, and then inside the app method we need to use the return and the div class name app and user details.cs file. So user details is nothing but here as a class file, because in the JS file we need to use this class file, right? So we need to implement it, use here as a opening and closing tab. And then app.css. So this is for some cascading style part. These are the CSS classes. And then index.html. So if you expand that public folder, you can see index.html, and these are the code for index.html, and the div id root id here, right, which I implemented inside the index.js file. Step 18, we need to set the CORS, cross origin resource sharing in Web API. So guys, what is CORS? I have mentioned here as a definition here, and how to set the CORS. So step 18, how to set the CORS. So go to the Web API config.cs file inside the app_start folder. So here you need to import this, use this two namespaces and 2 lines of code to configure CORS. And why CORS required, I have used here as some definitions. Okay, so this is the step 18. Step 19, we need to run Web API and a React application. First of all, we need to run the Web API. Go to the Visual Studio and run here. So guys, my Web web API application is running successfully, I'll map to my it checks some my endpoints. So API slash user registration or route prefix, and this is my API endpoint for get request. Make sure it is running successfully. I'm getting the records. So I am getting all the records right on the response path. That means my endpoints are working as expected. So, and then as for the step 19, I need to run the React application. So here 3 dot terminal, new terminal. npm start. So guys, my so here React application is compiled successfully, and I'm getting these two URLs. Go to the browser. So this React application is running, and this is the output, right? So these are all the fields, and React register and reset button, and these are the bind data in the table. Okay, so first of all I need to show the validation part. So two things we need to show the validation. First of all, without click on the register, if the user go to the first name or any field out of it, it will show first name is required. So empty field validation. Same way for last name, email name, password, confirm password, address, pin code, and switch to the other fields without any inputs, and company name, mobile number. So these are the empty field validations. Let's show you that click on without any input. I'm clicking on a register, so it will show the input empty field validations, right? So here I'll be inserting here some records, that is Devnath, okay, and the last name is Prakash, and here email part I'm just put here email name, and it's showing email is invalid, so I'll put here some valid mail, okay, and the last name should be 6 digit. I put here 3 digit. It's showing the password must be last digit 6 digit character. Same way for confirm password, so it's showing password should be matched, so I'm using this same password here in confirm password. Address, so in address I'm using here values, and the pin code I'm using 3 digit. It's showing pin code should be 6 digits, okay. So it is showing the password must be 6 digit, so I'll go to the my code, okay, and here I'll use that pin code must be 6 digit, right? So it's compiled successfully. I'll go to the my browser, okay, so refresh it. So I need to insert the data. Gautam, Prakash, password, address, and pin code. So here, see here, pin code must be 6 digit, okay, and company name, and this mobile number, it's showing invalid mobile number, so I need to use a 10 digit mobile number, okay. So these are the valid field with the inputs, and I'll click on register. So here it's showing data has been successfully inserted, and it added for user Gautam Prakash. If you just put your mouse here, this cursor showing the progress bar, it gets stopped and it still is waiting, right? And this, it's gone. As soon as it's inserted, I'm getting these values as well, as a ID is 8, right? So same ID we need to check here in my SQL Server. So we need to refresh it, so I can see this record is inserted successfully, right? So we need to I'll show you one more thing is, for example, I have insert some values. Okay. Okay. And click on reset. See here, all the fields are reset. Okay. So yeah, so how to I already have shown you that it empty field validation as well, invalid field validation, register button functionality, reset button, and then the table bind to the, or the data is bind to the table. Okay. So I'll show you that is how to check the endpoints in browser inspect element. Okay. So I'll right click on, go to inspect, go to the network tab. So here I need to just refresh the load the page. That means first my get request API endpoint will be hit. So I'll refresh it. So see here, I'm getting this endpoints get user registration details. Okay. So if you click on that, I'm getting that endpoint, right? And if you click on preview, I'm getting all the records. Okay. So this is the last record I have inserted, so it's showing user ID 8. So response, I'm getting all the response here, initiator and timing. Same way we'll check for post request endpoint. Okay. So we need to insert the records. So here last name is Das, email ID @mail.com, password, confirm password, address, pin code, company name, and mobile number, and click on register. Okay, so I'm getting this pop-up, as well as see here guys, it's showing two endpoints, because one is insert and post request. As soon as the insert successfully, it is hitting again to the get request. So for insert endpoint, if we click on it, right, so I'm getting the endpoint for post request, right? See here, user registration / insert user registration data. So payload, so this is the currently I have inserted the records. Okay. Preview, data has been successfully added for user Pooja Das, and this is the response as well, initiate and timing. As soon as the insert successfully, this data is bind to the table. Okay. So also it is showing the get request endpoint. I'm getting the preview, the last record I've inserted, and this is the response, this initiator, and this is the timing. So in this way we can check the API endpoints using browser inspect element. So it's showing total 9 records. This is the last record I've inserted. So I can see this, if you refresh it, I can see the ID 9 for these values. Okay. So guys, we'll check one more scenario. For example, I stop my web API uh, part. Okay, so I'll stop my web API application. That means my API is not running. So user is trying to okay, use that localhost URL, go to the browser. So see guys, my API is not running, so that it's showing message no records found. Okay, so here user try to create the records. Okay, so I'll try to insert the records. Okay, here the user will try to register this register the data, but our API is not running. So what will be the response? So I'm click on this. So I'm getting here network error. This is the toast error message. Okay, that means my API is not running. So that is the scenario. Okay, so okay, I'll go to inspect element. So see here it's showing failed to load resources. That means it's not hitting to that get user registration data. Okay, so that's why it's showing the message, because my API is not running. Again I need to register. See here it is trying to hit this insert user registration endpoint, but is getting failed, so that it's showing this message. Okay, so in this way we can configure if API is not running. Okay, and how this toast message is configured. So go to the my notes section. So step 19 is I already discussed. So guys, there is one form I key, because form I key I'm using for registration page configuration in React, right? So this is the URL of form I key, official site. So you can visit that site as well. Okay, this is the URL, and this is the all details you want to know. You can go to this URL as well. So guys, whatever the code I discussed, you need to download that code from GitHub. This is the URL. Okay, and I already have that URL is showcases in here. Okay, this is the URL, and you need to download that GitHub repo from here, so that all my API web API application code as well as React application code is uploaded, so you can download and use in your application. So guys, this is all about the steps. Okay, from step 1 to step 19, and the source code URL as well as form ID doc and why course is required. Let's go to the presentation. So these are the points I have discussed: API endpoint, how to call that endpoint, and what is form ID, YOP and React-toastify, how the toast message showing for success and error, check API endpoint using browser inspect element, how to download the source code. So guys, what is Axios library? So it is required for make some HTTP calls and consume REST API. What is form ID? Form ID is small group of React component and hooks for building forms to React and React Native. It helps with the three most annoying parts: getting values and out of form state, validation and error message, handling form submission. Generally, we pass our form's initial values and submission function to the use form ID hook. The hook then returns all values in the group of form state and help us in the variable we are calling form ID. Handle submit, a submission handler, handle change, a change handler to pass to each input, select and text area values our form's current values. Introduction to UF. So UF is a JavaScript object schema validator and an immutable object responsible for validating an object. It makes our lives easier for validating the data our app consume and manipulate. And introduction to React-toastify. React-toastify allows us to add notification to our app. We can get the notification with the interactive pop-up UI. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.